And we have another episode of Meet the Makers, only from Block.News. I'm your host, Jonesy, and I'm really lucky to have all the way from Bulgaria, Skyping in, we have our good buddy, Georgi. Georgi is the CEO of Tanzo. Tanzo is, Georgi, can you tell us a little bit about what Tanzo is and familiarize yourself with
Absolutely,
your product or service?
absolutely. By the way, thank you very much for taking the time for interviewing me. I believe that's a great opportunity for me to explain what we're doing, what Tanzo is, and so people are gonna be much more familiar with our product and project. So Tanzo, it's we are trying to create the first blockchain-based social marketplace for crafters only. Basically, what we're doing is we are creating a marketplace which is especially created for crafters and solving all of their problems which they are struggling every day trying to sell their creations and their arts on a regular market surrounded by basically every other vendor or trader around them, and that's a big problem because crafters are really put in a very difficult position, and they are trying to sell handmade items among basically every other product which is sold online.
Yep. So you have people that are going to, the classic website I think we think of when we think of crafters is Etsy. Is that very global, or is that just a United States uh,
No, you mean Tanzo?
Etsy?
No, Etsy is a global website.
Global website, yeah. That
Yeah,
seems
Etsy is a global website, but over 60% of their market share is in the US actually, and of that 60%, actually 60 is women, but that's a different story. So yeah, basically Etsy was founded, I think it was 2008, and the idea was pretty much to create especially a place for crafters, but
that's right.
unfortunately they couldn't succeed, and they become uh, much more than a disadvantage to crafters than advantage to them.
And so Tanzo steps in, and you're offering an alternative. You have a vision for this to really allow crafters to get into the market and be more effective and make a living.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's been my idea for like a year ago, and I took that from a personal experience. Actually, my mother, she's a crafter, and she's really skilled. She's a really skilled designer, and I was like,
What does she
how
design?
she designs clothes, and actually she won several international awards for designs for unique designs, and she's been doing that for the last 20 years. But my question all along was, how can a person like that be recognized globally and can sell more? Most of most of those people, they are not entrepreneurs. They don't know marketing. They don't know
Right.
how to expand their businesses. They're special people which are crafters, and they have unique skills. But most of them, they are not businessmen, and they cannot.
Yep.
I mean, they cannot expand their business beyond their local communities, or even if they do, they're still surrounded by mass-produced stuff and knockoffs, and there is no way for people to differentiate themselves from those vendors.
Yes, I mean you cannot make a living. You have to separate yourself. You have to have a website. I mean, a lot of these crafters that I know, you talk to them and they don't even really have a website, and
I mean,
it's
having a website, it's a whole different thing. Again, you need to put a lot of effort into marketing, a lot of effort in advertising, and that costs money, a lot of money. And then, still, even if somebody ends up to your website, they can never know for sure, is that person really a crafter? Did he create that, for example, a crystal vase? Did he make that on his own, or he's just trying to misrepresent himself and
right.
make a profit without being a real crafter?
Sure, sure. So can we geek out a little bit? Can you tell the audience how Tanzo works, technically?
Absolutely, absolutely. basically what we're doing is we're trying to make sure that the platform is based totally on trust. What we're trying to build is a platform where a potential buyer walks in and he finds a certain item, he's absolutely sure that this person exists, that this person is really a crafter, and he made that with his own hands and with his own skills. And how we're doing a lot of things to assure that. One of them, and the most important one, is identity verification. On Tanzo, every crafter is verified. Every crafter's identity is verified on the blockchain. We managed to become partners with one of the largest KYC blockchain-based companies called Civic. We've been working with them for the last year, and we are incorporating their product into our platform. So when somebody walks into our to Tanzo, he must first identify himself with his ID and to pass KYC. So we know that this person exists and he's and he's a real person. After that, there are many other steps that he needs to go through, like pinpoint his location and creating very and going through a very detailed and specific way for him to verify that not only he is the real person who is selling those creations, but that also he actually did create them.
Made them, yeah.
Yeah. So that's very well explained in our white paper. But just to throw a little lighting on that, we are requiring the crafters to go to certain steps while he's making the item, and only if he goes to those steps he can list it on the platform. So of course we can never prevent somebody of misrepresenting himself, but the idea of Tanzo is to create as many steps to be followed, which will be a nightmare to go through if you are somebody who is just trying to take advantage of the platform, but they're going to be really easy and taking no time and no effort if you are the real deal. And so yeah, and after that we've created a really good QR code system which assures that this item was created by that guy or girl.
And now that's so really protecting the consumer on that point, which is great. So what are you offering the crafter himself as well? Is there does Tanzo also allow a greater reach, a greater audience that they could get their products out to?
Eventually yes. You mentioned something interesting, that we're trying to protect the crafter. Actually, with these things, we're not protecting the crafter, we're protecting the buyer.
Yeah,
because
the consumer.
The buyer is the one who is spending his money, and he's the one who must be assured that on our platform, this person is creating this thing with his hands. With all those things, we are trying to protect the buyer. For the crafter protection, we have other things that we are putting on the platform. I have no idea if you're familiar, but actually more of the people which are trying to take advantage of the internet sales are not the sellers but the buyers. Buyers are actually there are a lot of people which will try to take advantage of the platform. I would give you a brief example. On eBay, people basically are trying all the time to how do I explain myself? I'll just give an example. If somebody buys a certain item on eBay, let's just say it's a low-cost item, he buys it, he receives it. The purchase amount is so little, so the vendor cannot afford to put a tracking number on that purchase. And very often people are just receiving the item and just claiming that they didn't receive it, or it was broken. And unfortunately, in that scenario, the platforms are always favorizing the buyers, because basically that's where all those websites are getting their money from the commissions that's being paid from the buyers. We have thought about that very, very detailed, and we have a really slick solution about that. So one of the things is, again, with the QR code system, which is going to be really long to explain. If anybody can, if anybody wants to know how exactly we're doing that, he can just briefly go over our white paper. It's really well explained, and it's not going to take a lot of time.
And Georgi, what are some of the other ways in which Tanzo is separating itself from your competitors?
One of the most important things and the most innovative things on Tanzo is the bonus and reward system. Being able to base our platform on the blockchain and creating our own currency is giving us not only the opportunity to lower all the commissions to less than 1.5%, but with the Tanzo bonus and reward system, we are giving back 35% of those 1.5 that we collect from every purchase. That's where the social aspect of the platform steps in. As I said in the beginning, it's not a marketplace, just a marketplace. It's a social marketplace where everybody is rewarded for his activities. Doesn't matter if you're a crafter or a buyer. Every time when you make a purchase and you receive your item and you are satisfied with it, or if you're not, doesn't matter. You have the opportunity to share, comment, rate, tip, and several other social activities which are being rewarded with the Tanzo token. That's immediately gives back a small fraction back to the community, which eventually will increase the wealth within that community. That's actually one of the most important things of Tanzo. Every time when there is a activity, you are rewarded. If you are a crafter, the more you sell, the more the platform rewards you for being a good seller at the platform. Mm-hmm. And when you're a buyer, the more you buy, and the more you rate and share and give people your opinion about a crafter or a craft, you're being rewarded with a Tanzo token. And as I said, we are charging a really small commission, 1.5%, and we're giving 35% of that back to the community.
I would love to hear more about your tokens. Can you tell us a little bit more about your currency?
Yeah, the token is okay. It's based on the Ethereum network. It's ERC20 token. Actually, we already have our smart contract up and running, and it's been deployed. And can you be a bit more specific? What you would like to know about the token?
When is it available?
The token is going to be actually right now we're doing our private sale.
Okay.
And hopefully we will be able to start our public sale by the end of this year, maybe mid-December. Actually, things are going pretty great right now. We have a lot of people interested in being contributors to Tanzo, and who knows, maybe we will even be able to secure our mid-cap during the private sale.
Amazing. You mentioned earlier that your mother is a crafter.
Yes.
So it kind of gave us a little bit of an insight on where you're coming from. Yourself, have you ever been a crafter? And also, along with that, what is really your motivation to kind of provide this service? What really brings you to this market? Why do you want to help crafters? I mean, in addition to obviously your mother being a crafter, can you share a little bit of this personal story?
Absolutely. Yes, she is. And basically, a year ago, I was thinking how exactly people like her can be recognized globally and can sell their unique and handmade and beautiful and really, one of a kind items without being surrounded by all the other sellers. And thinking about that, I was like, okay, there is a whole new technology being available for the last couple of years, blockchain. and I was like starting to put together different pieces. Sorry about that. Different pieces of the blockchain, and it took us 6 months to perfect the idea of Tanzo. And just to one other thing. Let's just say you are a crafter and you are selling on any other website. I'm not gonna name them specifically, and somebody finds you surrounded by the ocean of other listings. Once you do that, you see something and you are never sure is that thing really handmade. Why the price is twice or 3 times higher than a similar item, and how can I be sure that if I buy that, even if I like it, I'm going to receive exactly what I saw? And people are really hesitating of purchasing such items online because there is a reasonable doubt in everybody when he's trying to buy something online which is not from a well-known brand. If you're buying a Nike pair of shoes, you just know, okay, it's a Nike pair of shoes. You're going to receive what you bought. But if you're buying, I don't know, a handmade wooden decorative piece, how can you know that this guy didn't buy this on bulk from China and just misrepresenting himself? So that was my whole idea. I was thinking about how can I exploit the technology, and at the same side, how can I create a platform which is really close to me, of being a person who I mean, I've been seeing her problems all my life. I mean, every time when she tries to sell online, either it's really, really expensive for her to advertise, or even if we have, a reasonable traffic, the orders are very, very, very little.
And it's costly to ship. What I really love about this is you're guaranteeing authenticity in a way, and I think that's important because when a lot of us want to buy an original piece of artwork or a craft, we want to. A lot of times we're buying the story behind it, and
exactly.
You're guaranteeing that this story is true. So if I buy a blanket that's handmade from a woman in Peru, I'm buying the story as well, and so it's important for that story to be authentic for all of us, because that's part of the value of it.
Exactly, and one other thing, the handmade market has tripled since 2008. It's now pushing over $100 billion a year, and the forecast is to be $150 billion in 2020. And the reason of that is the people are basically sick of owning the same thing like the person next door. People want to identify themselves, and I think at some point people figure out that the only thing you need for you to feel special and different is to own this one-of-a-kind piece, which separates you from all the others. I'm not saying that people are going to start by everything handmade. Of course not. I'm just saying that people wanna own something which is made from somebody, and by the story, by the person himself. And that's really, I mean, once you put something unique at your living room, or I mean, even if it's something insignificant like a keychain, you're connecting to that person who made it, and you chose it because it connects you to something that's close to your personality or your past or maybe your future. I don't know, but people are really starting to reject and refuse to own exactly the same thing.
Yeah, I'm that kind of person as well. I like to own original things, and so this is great. Can you tell our audience where they can find more information about Tanzo, your website, etc.?
Our website is tanzo.io. It contains all the information that you need to know about the project. and the story. And we have people all the time, 24/7, on all social media answering questions. I mean, we have like 6 people which are especially dedicated to answer questions on social media, because we're receiving so many questions from all around the world, for crafters, from potential investors. Actually, I was really surprised when I started doing the research. I knew that we cannot find a data collected by a global association giving numbers about the crafters, how many are they in certain regions. There are over 200,000 guilds all around the world, with people connecting and being connected by the love of creating something with their own hands, from carpenters through potterists and everything basically. Actually, people have been doing this for 5,000 years, and for that 5,000 years they've been perfecting their skills. And it's really pity that those people, the most skilled ones, you can never find online, or if you do, basically you are never sure, is that guy really the Japanese sword maker 10th generation, or he's basically just selling me something bought from a Chinese manufacturer.
Yes, exactly, and I think that's very important. It's a very important service that you're offering. By the way, for our audience, Tanzo is spelled Tanzo, and I will put a link down in the description of the video. Thank you, Georgi, for joining me today all the way from Bulgaria. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that. And if you guys want to watch more of our Meet the Makers video series, go to block.news. Thanks again, Georgi.
Thank you very much.